most notable names in all of hip-hop, spending more than a decade and a half in the
swear
spotlight. Not only does he have a fan base that will ride for him till the death, but critical acclaim to go along with it. Because of this, Tyler has become a modern-day legend in the hip-hop.
Not to brag, you guys probably can't even see, but I got 3 Tyler posters behind me.
Pop game. However, people haven't always thought of Tyler the Creator as a legend.
Very true.
People really didn't know how to feel about Tyler the Creator. Some people diminished Tyler the Creator.
When I was younger, a lot of people did not like Tyler the Creator. Like when I was very young, like, dude, even when I was still like, cause I'm fucking young, but like when I was like young, people started to like him because that like around when he released Flower Boy. But like from when I was like born to when I was like 6, everyone fucking hated Tyler the Creator. Like I would just never hear anything good about him because of just the music he made. By the way, his first album was made 2 days after the day I was born. I was born December 23rd, 2009. He made his album on Christmas 2009. So saying.
There's nothing more than an internet rapper or somebody that was edgy just to be edgy. However, Tyler the Creator would go on to prove them all wrong with one performance. But let's just take a step back to understand why it was so important. As a kid, Tyler the Creator always showed interest in many forms of media. Like, sure, he had an interest in music, but he also was like a kid drawing album covers. And as he grew up, he started making YouTube videos, which showed that Tyler the Creator not only had interest in making music, but making art regardless of the medium. And maybe that's because he went to 12 different...
Tyler got a whole fan base who just know him for memes and being funny. More than the music. There's probably a fan base of people who know him only for memes.
Schools and like saw a lot of environments and different people, or maybe he was just like that and was born for this. And to accommodate for all these different interests that he had, he along with some friends formed the group Odd Future. And the decision to form that group was one that made Tyler the Creator's life much better as a result. And initially, Odd Future didn't really take off. It was just another group on the internet. However, as you can imagine, a group that was into filmmaking, producing, writing, and of course music would heavily get pushed in an algorithm as the 2000s turned into the 2010s. Whether it was YouTube, MySpace, Tumblr, or whatever other blogs that may have been lost to time, the creative process of Odd Future really fit the meta of the internet in 2010. In fact, not only did it fit the meta of the internet in 2010, it also fit the meta of hip-hop in 2010. The late 2000s...
Bro, I swear, nobody realizes how big fucking Odd Future really was. That's all I figured out of Tyler. I low-key didn't even know that much about Tyler. I knew about Odd Future first. And then I figured out about Tyler after Odd Future. Then I realized that Tyler was in Odd Future. Yeah.
This was a time in hip-hop where hip-hop transitioned from physical mixtapes to the digital scene. From DatPiff to MySpace to Tumblr, rappers were beginning to get a buzz on the internet rather than on the streets. It was a new way of putting the power of who gets famous on the consumer rather than the labels or the radio DJs or whoever it may be. Through this era, we saw the rise of rappers like Kid Cudi, Wiz Khalifa, Big Sean, J. Cole, and almost all of those rappers that blew up in the late 2000s. And you can help me blow up if you press that subscribe button. I know, it's annoying, but it's just something that you have to do. And I ask nicely, you know? You don't have to do it. I just would really appreciate if you would. Or at least press the like button. Like, I would mess with you if you press the like button. But anyways, to make simple things simpler,
I'll mess with y'all if y'all press the like button. I'll press the like button on this video. I gotta respect the man, so I'll sub too. Gotta respect it.
Say the blog era was essentially a lesser level of what the SoundCloud era was a few years later. Because whereas you could really become famous off of SoundCloud, the DatPiff era, the blog era as a whole was more about proving yourself as a rapper. But if there was one group that really took advantage of this digital scene, it was Odd Future.
We're in the supercar for
100%, bro.
It turns out that having a variety of skill sets was exactly what a group needed
to
succeed.
A lot of Odd Future didn't even rap too. A lot of them didn't even fucking rap.
New era of hip-hop and this era of the internet as a whole. Interest in filmmaking coupled with music ability and the youthfulness in their personalities made Odd Future a lifestyle for many of those who were on the internet in the early 2010s. Not only were they making waves as a collective, but as individuals as well. And though much can be said about the other members of Odd Future, especially Frank Ocean and Earl Sweatshirt, there was no bigger name at the time than that of Tyler, the Creator. And most of hip-hop didn't really know what to think of him. Even though hip-hop was progressing in terms of the rappers they were letting in and succeeding, Tyler, the Creator was really in a weird spot. At the time, it wasn't like he was making the most emotional music ever. So it wasn't like a Kid Cudi type of situation, and he wasn't necessarily the most lyrical, able rapper. So it wasn't like a Lupe Fiasco, oh, he's a nerd, but he can really rap type of situation either. And the introduction of Tyler, the Creator, to many hip-hop fans was none other than Yonkers. The release of Yonkers shook up hip-hop in more than one way. Firstly, the music video, kind of crazy.
Yeah. This motherfucker ate a whole ass cockroach in the music video, and honestly, ever since that day, I've been wanting to try a cockroach. The first time I saw that music video, I was probably 4, 5. First time I saw that music video, bro, I was fucking disgusted. But I wanted to try a cockroach because, like, what, like who the fuck does that shit, bro?
Now, I'm sure you all know, but just in case you need a reminder, the video is all in black and white, and it goes in and out of focus.
Rap was in a very black and white future.
He like puts on a noose and shit. And last but not least, the most controversial part of this video is that Tyler, the Creator, eats a cockroach. In terms of the lyrics, though, that would be a whole different thing because a lot of people hated the lyrics. Of course, there's a lot of random disses in the song, so some people took offense to the disses, like B.O.B., who released a whole diss track in response. Some just took it more positively and made a joke about it, like Bruno Mars. But then again, it wasn't all hate. Snoop Dogg rocked with him. Kanye really loved Yonkers. And perhaps the biggest stamp of approval in Tyler's young career was that of Jimmy Fallon's invite to the late night show.
Performing the song Sandwiches with a little help from the Roots, please welcome Tyler, the Creator, and Haji Beats from Odd Future.
Mainstream culture is an ever-evolving thing. The difference between right now and 5 years ago is insane. And the difference between 5 years ago and 5 years before that is also insane. It's always changing, and as the late 2000s turned into the 2010s, late night shows started to focus more on the YouTube side of their marketing. Just like how hip-hop was adapting to a digital era, TV was either gonna have to do the same, and no one was more eager to do so than Jimmy Fallon himself. The year was 2011, and up to this point, the show had only been running for like a year and a half. And as they entered their second year, they wanted to add something that would make them feel like the late night show. And part of how they do that would be through the use of young and up-and-coming artists making their names on their stage. And there was no musical act better to test this out than with the young group by the name of Odd Future. It would be a risk. Questlove specifically was concerned about how dependable they were. Like, what if they went rogue? What if in their rebellious personality they did something so bad that it would get the show pulled from the air? They had never been on national TV, and theoretically speaking, anything could happen. But then again, that's what makes for good TV. Anything can happen. So why not just roll the dice? And that they did. On February of 2011, on a national stage, Odd Future would be introduced to the mainstream TV audience. And
so did he even release Goblin yet? Wait, low key, I don't think Goblin was even out at this time. Well, when was the day? Hold on.
The mainstream TV audience, and let's just say they stage, Odd Future would be introduced to the mainstream TV audience, and that they did. On February of 2011, on a national...
By the way, don't even mind the search history. I was completely from my friend. Some of those things. No, fucking Tyler Creator. May 2011. Wow, so no, Goblin wasn't even fucking out. Still calling me? I don't think so. I thought I heard something.
National stage, Odd Future would be introduced to the mainstream TV audience, and let's just say they did not dumb down who they were for a national stage. The song to be performed was Sandwiches, which all things considered isn't the most friendly song to play, but clearly friendly was not what Odd Future wanted to be that night. Tyler and Haji pulled up with ski masks on. There was a fog machine on the stage. There's some girl walking around on some little girl that walks out of the TV in that one movie type shit. There's also like gnomes all over the place for some reason. I couldn't explain that one. But regardless of it all, in terms of gaining new fans, this wasn't necessarily the presentation you would think would gain anybody new fans. And yet, they pulled it off. From the energy on stage to off the stage to involving Jimmy Fallon and the guests on the performance, this was one of the best late night show performances I have ever seen. It wasn't something that would like make you cry necessarily, like it wasn't emotional. Hell, I'd even understand if you weren't a fan of this performance, but what you cannot convince me is that this wasn't a fun time. You had Tyler running around all over the place. He jumps on Jimmy Fallon at the end for a piggyback ride. You have Mos Def in here for some reason yelling swag. Everyone was excited and everyone that took part in this performance loved it. And it's kind of hard not to love it as an audience member looking at how much fun they're having. Going back to Questlove, he said that he was so overwhelmed with joy that he called up Jay-Z and told him about how Odd Future was the new Wu-Tang Clan. And honestly, walking out of that night, everybody became a winner. According to Jimmy Fallon, it's one of those performances that he holds dear to his heart. And as the decade continued, it's hard to say that Jimmy Fallon's late night show didn't go on to become the most relevant and most important late night show in a sea of late night shows. And on the other side, it's hard to say that Odd Future wasn't the most iconic group of the decade, at least hip-hop wise. And honestly, the best way to put this and simplify everything and wrap this up is to say that the rest was history. But this was a special night. Anyways, I gotta get more.
Alright. I thought he was about to talk about literally like everything else. I genuinely thought that video was gonna be a lot.